Alright, so this is how they cooked. They cooked their food right here in the fireplace. The baby would sleep here. The parents would sleep there. So I'm thinking this is a cotton plantation because now I see cotton. In the novel that we're reading, there's it's a rice plantation. So this is their little kitchen. This is where the mom would cook. And this is their life. This is where they live.
This is so, oh God. Okay, look at the bed.
Shh, shh, shh. These are some oak plantations in Georgia, just to show you how big they were. The slave houses looked like a small town, and there were grist mills for corn, cotton gin, shoe shops, tanning yards, and lots of looms for weaving cloth. Most of the slaves cooked at their own houses that they called shacks. There was a jail on the place to put slaves in. This is Henry. He was a former slave describing a plantation near Camden, South Carolina. This is okra. Slaves in South Carolina commonly prepared the seeds of the okra plant as a coffee substitute. Okay, so the kids may sleep upstairs there.
Inside these
Taking
walls
these
where you're
steps
now
up.
standing lived a family.
If there were more
and sometimes
kids,
a
they would
couple of
sleep
families
up there.
of slaves. Like many slave cabins across the South, the slave quarters were the center of their family life. When the slaves were not working, this is where they would be. These specific cabins here at Boone Hall date back to the late 1700s to early 1800s and have been maintained in very much the same condition as they would have been in the 19th century. What you're seeing here is how a slave cabin may have been furnished. However, some of these cabins would have had dividing walls separating it into 2 or 3 rooms. The survival of these cabins can be largely contributed to the fact that they were made out of scrap bricks from the brickyard located here on the plantation. These cabins would have housed house servants and the more skilled laborers as they were located closest to the big house. The field workers lived in the wooden cabins that would have been closest to the fields. There are none of the wooden cabins remaining here at Boone Hall. It was illegal in the South to teach slaves to read and write, but history reveals that there were slaves who were able to secretly learn on their own, usually with the help of someone on the plantation. However, it has been documented by the South Carolina State University History Department that Boone Hall was one of the first plantations to teach their slaves to read and write. After the ban on importing slaves in 1808, the slave owners realized the importance of having strong slave children, so slaves having families was strongly encouraged and sometimes even demanded. There would be some owners who would force a slave woman to marry a certain slave man just with the goal of producing strong slave children. Slave quarters such as these is where the children were born and raised into slavery. Slaves married, had children, and worked hard to keep their families together. In their quarters, they were able to let down the masks they had to wear for their owners. There, black men, women, and children developed an underground culture through which they affirmed their humanity. They gathered in the evenings to tell stories, sing, and make secret plans. House servants would come down from the big house to give any news they had overheard. However, the fact remained that their family could be broken up at any time if their